The stunned silence lasted precisely 7 seconds before the Rigelian ambassador, a being composed primarily of crystalline structures, shattered his ceremonial staff against the floor. The sound reverberated through the chamber like a gunshot. This is an outrage. The translation matrix converted his harmonic vibrations into standard galactic common. Humanity has existed in the galactic community for less than a century, and you bring this abomination into existence. Ambassador Chen remained impassive, hands folded neatly on the podium. With respect, the Rigelian Confederation maintained orbital mass draggers, capable of sterilizing planetary surfaces for over 300 years, before formally acknowledging their existence. The Galactic Council's central chamber, designed to accommodate representatives from over 200 spacefaring civilizations, had never felt so small. The massive holographic display continued rotating above them, showing 12 orbital platforms now fully deployed around Earth. Their design was elegantly utilitarian. No attempt had been made to disguise their purpose. "The difference," hissed the Arcturian representative, her feathered crest fully extended in a display of agitation, "is that we developed such capabilities after millennia of interstellar experience. Humanity has demonstrated remarkable technological advancement, but questionable judgment." Chen's slight smile never wavered. And yet the Arcturian hegemony used their capabilities against the Proxima colony during the resource disputes of the previous galactic standard year. Humans have never deployed our defensive systems against any living world. The Council Arbiter, a Medusan whose species prided themselves on absolute neutrality, raised all 4 appendages for silence. The human ambassador makes a valid point regarding usage versus capability. However, the sudden revelation of weapons platforms of this magnitude represents a significant shift in the strategic balance. Ambassador Chen, our sensors indicate these platforms have been operational for some time. Chen nodded. Correct. Platform 1 was completed 11 Earth years ago. The system reached full operational status approximately 14 months ago. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the chamber. The security implications were enormous. Human engineering teams had successfully concealed the construction and deployment of planet-killer technology from the most sophisticated detection systems in the galaxy. The Arctovian delegation had strategically positioned themselves before the announcement. Their dramatic table-flipping exit had been perfectly timed for maximum diplomatic effect. What most species didn't realize was that their chief diplomatic officer remained behind, hidden in the observer gallery, recording every reaction. Ambassador Kralfax of the Directions slowly rose from his crystalline seat. Ancient even by the standards of a species that measured lifespans in millennia, his carapace bore the intricate etchings that documented personal survival through 3 separate extinction-level events. The Council expresses outrage, yet fails to ask the most relevant question. His voice was deeply resonant, commanding attention through evolutionary adaptations designed to convey authority. Humans are pragmatic builders. They create for specific purposes. All 8 eyes focused on Chen. What threat necessitates such a response? The chamber fell silent once more. Chen's expression remained diplomatic, but those familiar with human micro-expressions would have noticed a subtle shift. Relief. An excellent question, Ambassador Kralfax. Perhaps we should discuss certain anomalies recently detected at the galaxy's outer rim, phenomena that your species might find historically familiar. The Diraxian's exoskeleton paled visibly, a biological response impossible to fake. In the observer gallery, the hidden Arctovian diplomat immediately activated a quantum-encrypted transmission to their homeworld. The Galactic Council session that began with outrage about human weapons was about to take a very different turn. Dr. Eliza Rice checked the quantum entanglement readings one final time before initiating the synchronization sequence. Defense Platform 7 hummed with energy, its core systems pulsing with a soft blue light that reflected off her exosuit's polished surface. All stations, final status report, she commanded through the integrated comms. Targeting systems green. Dr. Wong responded, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. The targeting system was perhaps their greatest achievement, capable of discriminating between molecular structures with such precision that it could theoretically eliminate a single species from a planet's ecosystem while leaving everything else untouched. Power regulation stable at 98%, Dr. Okafor confirmed. The containment fields are holding perfectly. Eliza allowed herself a small smile. 13 years of work, countless sleepless nights, and 3 failed prototypes had led to this moment. The system wasn't just operational, it was perfect. Dr. Reyes, the AI assistant's voice came through her personal channel. You have an incoming encrypted communication from Geneva Command. Priority Alpha. Her smile vanished. Put it through. Her wife's face appeared on the private display inside her helmet. General Maria Reyes Santos looked composed as always, but Eliza recognized the tension around her eyes. The announcement went as expected, Maria reported. Mostly outrage, some strategic posturing. The Diraxians recognized the implications immediately. And the Arctovians. Dramatic exit, as predicted. But they left observers behind. They're worried, Eliza. Our intelligence suggests they've been working on similar technology, but haven't achieved our level of precision. Eliza nodded. The Arctovians were brilliant engineers, but their biological nature, a hive mind species with distributed consciousness, made the concept of surgical precision somewhat foreign to their thinking. Their weapons tended toward overwhelming force rather than targeted intervention. There's something else, Maria continued, her expression darkening. We've detected unusual activity in the Kuiper Belt. 3 Arctovian battlecruisers just dropped out of fold space. They're maintaining position just inside international boundaries. A show of force. Possibly. Or they're scanning our platforms, trying to assess capabilities. Maria leaned closer to the camera. The Defense Council is convening in 30 minutes. They want your assessment of system readiness. Eliza glanced around at her team. Each engineer focused intently on their stations. These weren't just colleagues. They were the finest scientific minds Earth had produced, united by a shared purpose that transcended national identities. Chinese quantum physicists worked alongside Russian engineers and Brazilian xenobiologists. The old divisions of Earth politics had dissolved in the face of a greater understanding. Humanity needed to stand united. Tell the Council that all 12 platforms are at operational readiness, Eliza responded. But also remind them of our design philosophy. These systems were built with restraint in mind, surgical intervention rather than broad destruction. Maria's expression softened momentarily. I know, love. That's what makes them so revolutionary. The Council understands that too, even if our galactic neighbors don't yet. Ulrich chimed through the command center. Dr. Wang's posture stiffened as she checked her readings. We're being scanned, she announced. High-energy quantum resonance. Definitely Arctovian signature. Eliza maintained her composure. Let them look. Our shields will reveal exactly what we want them to see. The scan persisted for several minutes, probing the platform's external systems, but unable to penetrate the quantum shields protecting its true capabilities. They're specifically targeting the molecular disruption array, Dr. Okafor noted. They know what this is, but not how it works. Of course they do, Eliza replied. They'd been trying to build one themselves for years. She turned back to her wife's image. Maria, tell the Defense Council that the Arctovians are more concerned than they're letting on. They wouldn't risk such an obvious scan unless they're deeply worried about falling behind. As the scan finally ended, Eliza felt a strange mixture of pride and sadness. Humanity had built the ultimate defensive system, a technological marvel that could save worlds or destroy them. Yet the necessity of such a system reflected a universe more dangerous than anyone had admitted until now. Maya Wong's neural implant recorded everything in perfect clarity. The golden sunrise over Port Douglas Beach, the impossibly blue morning sky, the sudden, silent parting of reality as the Arctovian scout ship emerged from fold space. Later, Experts would analyze her recording frame by frame, noting how the ship's navigation systems were visibly damaged. Plasma leakage around the primary drive, emergency containment fields flickering at 60% capacity. The crew had been running on emergency protocols, their vessel's consciousness operating on survival algorithms rather than diplomatic subroutines. But 12-year-old Maya saw none of that complexity. She saw only the sleek chitinous vessel hovering above her beloved hometown, its surface rippling with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed in sequences both beautiful and terrifying. "Hello," she had whispered, her neural implant faithfully recording the word even as the town's communication grid automatically responded with standard emergency broadcast signals, powerful electromagnetic pulses designed to alert authorities to major disasters. The Arctovian ship's defensive systems interpreted these signals as targeting locks from primitive but potentially dangerous weapons. Following deep-coded military doctrine that had evolved over millennia of interspecies conflicts, the scout ship responded with a precisely calculated defensive strike. The ocean began to boil first, superheated by targeted energy pulses. Buildings dissolved into component molecules. Maya, frozen in awe rather than fear, remained recording even as the destruction wave approached. Her hoverboard's automated safety systems detected the incoming energy front and activated emergency propulsion, sending her skimming across the water at maximum velocity. The neural implant recorded the moment of concussive impact, the board's inertial dampeners failing, Maya's small body flung into the churning sea, and then nothing but darkness. 3 days later, she awoke in a military medical facility in Melbourne. The doctors told her she was the sole survivor. Her parents, her little brother, her friends, all gone in 8 minutes and 14 seconds of calculated alien response. "Your neural recording is the only civilian footage we have," a somber government official explained. The woman's name badge identified her as Dr. Chambers, Department of Extraterrestrial Affairs. It shows clear evidence that the attack wasn't intentional aggression. They were responding to what they perceived as a threat. Maya stared at the ceiling, her 12-year-old mind struggling to process such abstract concepts against the concrete reality of her loss. Does that matter? They still killed everyone. Dr. Chambers hesitated. It matters for what happens next. This recording will help prevent a global panic, maybe even an interstellar war. You've given us something important. Maya. 6 months later, the Arctovian diplomatic delegation arrived on Earth. The incident had been classified under their legal framework as a navigational error resulting in unintentional civilian casualties, a category so common in their expansionist history that it had standardized compensation protocols. The delegation's representative, a mid-ranking diplomatic functionary, presented Earth's United Nations with the formal reparations package, technological data, rare element transfers, and cultural exchange proposals. The incident was noted in their official records with the equivalent of a minor footnote. They did not meet Maya Wong, who by then had been placed in a specialized educational program for gifted children, a program quietly funded by a newly formed International Defense Initiative. 20 years later, Dr. Maya Wong stood in Geneva's Unified Defense Command, watching the final installation of Defense Platform 1. The clean, efficient lines of the weapons system reflected nothing of the messy, traumatic history that had led to its creation. The Arctovians had long forgotten the Port Douglas incident, categorizing it alongside thousands of similar regrettable errors in their long history of space exploration. But humanity remembered, and in remembering they built. The private meeting chamber reserved for diplomatic consultations was designed to be impossible to surveil. Quantum field generators prevented any form of remote monitoring, and 6 different species had contributed their most advanced anti-espionage technologies to ensure absolute privacy. Ambassador Chen studied the Diraxians' compound eyes, searching for subtle shifts in color patterns that indicated emotional states. After 15 years representing humanity in galactic affairs, Chen had become adept at reading even the most alien of expressions. "You're suggesting that both our species have been manipulated," Chen said carefully. "That's a significant claim, Ambassador Crawlfax. The ancient Diraxian's exoskeleton clicked softly as he settled into a more comfortable position. Consider the timeline objectively, Ambassador. The Arctovian scout ship that destroyed your Port Douglas settlement. Its navigation systems were damaged in a very specific way. The exact configuration of damage that would trigger their defensive protocols when encountering unfamiliar electromagnetic signatures. Chen frowned. We attributed that to an asteroid collision in the Orc cloud. Their official explanation was technically correct but incomplete. Crawlfax interrupted. My species has observed the Arctovians for millennia. They are methodical, hierarchical, and exceedingly cautious. Their scout ships typically maintain triple redundant navigation systems. For all three to fail simultaneously would require extremely precise targeting. Maya Wong, standing silently in the corner, stepped forward. Her neural implant glowed faintly beneath her skin as she projected a holographic display between them. Ambassador, these are quantum resonance scans we've been gathering for the past 5 years. The display showed bright energy signatures surrounding several Arctovian frontier worlds. We initially believed these were defensive shields, but the energy pattern matches our own platforms with 97% correlation. Chen's expression remained diplomatic, but her eyes widened slightly. They've built their own planet killers. Indeed, Crawlfax confirmed. According to our intelligence, development began approximately 1 planetary cycle after the Port Douglas incident. Just as we did, Chen whispered. Maya nodded. 2 species with no significant historical conflicts, both simultaneously developing nearly identical doomsday weapons. The statistical probability is effectively 0, Crawlfax finished. His outer membrane rippled in what Chen had learned was a gesture of grave concern. Someone, or something, wanted your species to develop this technology, and wanted the Arctovians to develop it as well. Chen's mind raced through the implications. To what end? If some third party wanted us to destroy each other, why wait until now? We've had these weapons for years. The Diraxian's compound eyes shifted to the ultraviolet spectrum, a sign he was about to share classified information. Because the weapons themselves were never the objective. It was the technology, specifically, the molecular disintegration capability. Maya's neural implant flashed as she accessed restricted files. The precision targeting system, the ability to identify and eliminate specific molecular structures while leaving surrounding matter intact. Exactly, Crawlfax confirmed. Both your species approached the same technology from different perspectives. Humans focused on precision and containment, creating a surgical instrument that could target specific threats. Arctovians emphasized power and scale, building systems that could affect entire regions of space. Chen leaned forward. You're suggesting someone manipulated both our species into developing complementary technologies. Technologies that, if combined, would create a defense system unlike any the galaxy has seen in 50,000 years, Crawlfax said solemnly. A system that might, just might, be capable of stopping what approaches from beyond the galactic rim. The chamber fell silent as the implications settled over them. Maya was the first to speak, her voice barely above a whisper. The Arctovian delegation didn't storm out because they were outraged by our weapons. They left because they recognized them. They're afraid we figured out what they know. Chen nodded slowly. It's not a coincidence that their battlecruisers appeared at the edge of our system today. They're not preparing for war. They are assessing if we're ready for what's coming. General O'Kafer's face remained impassive as the unidentified vessel continued its approach toward Earth. The Lunar Command Center, buried 2 kilometers beneath the Tycho crater, hummed with tense activity. Tactical displays tracked the object's trajectory with alarming precision. It would reach Earth orbit in approximately 17 minutes. All diplomatic channels remain unanswered, sir, his communications officer reported. We've tried every known frequency and protocol. Okafor nodded once, and our deep space telescopes. The science officer, Dr. Patel, manipulated her holographic interface, enlarging the visual feed. The vessel matches no known design in our database. Its hull appears to be organic, or at least partially biological in composition. On the central display, the unknown ship resembled a massive, elongated arthropod. Its surface pulsed with irregular patterns of bioluminescence, and what appeared to be sensory appendages extended from its forward section. Most concerning were the structures along its ventral surface, apparatus of unknown function, but undeniably artificial design. It's decelerating, Dr. Patel noted. Current trajectory will place it in high Earth orbit in 14 minutes. Okafor's hand hovered over the secure communication link to the Defense Council. Humanity had developed strict first contact protocols after the Port Douglas incident, but they had never anticipated a scenario where communication attempts would be completely ignored. "Sir," his tactical officer interrupted, "the vessel has deployed something. Multiple objects, cylindrical, approximately 2 meters in length. They're accelerating toward Earth's atmosphere." That decided it. "Defense Condition Alpha," Okafor commanded. "Alert all platforms to tracking status." He activated the secure link to Geneva. "Madam President, we have probe deployment from the unidentified vessel. Request authorization for demonstration protocol." President Rivera's voice came through clearly, her years of military service evident in her calm response. "Authorization granted, General." Platform 3, Ceres asteroid. Minimal collateral effect. "Understood." Okafor turned to his weapons officer. "Target the Ceres asteroid. Demonstration Protocol Alpha. Inform Dr. Reyes we're activating your system." The Lunar Command Center fell silent as Defense Platform 3, positioned in synchronous orbit above the Pacific Ocean, oriented toward the asteroid belt. The targeting systems, designed by Dr. Eliza Reyes and her team, locked onto Ceres' unique molecular signature. "Platform reports ready, sir," the weapons officer announced. "Awaiting your command." Okafor took a deep breath. This would be the first actual deployment of the system. All previous tests had been conducted on artificial targets in controlled environments. Execute. There was no visible beam, no dramatic energy discharge. On the tactical display, Platform 3 simply established a quantum field connection with its target. The effect, however, was immediate and undeniable. Ceres, a dwarf planet nearly 1,000 kilometers in diameter, the largest object in the asteroid belt, simply disappeared. One moment it existed, the next, its constituent molecules had been systematically disassembled into their component atoms, dispersed harmlessly as inert gas. The command center erupted in a flurry of activity as sensors confirmed what seemed impossible. Perfect molecular disintegration with zero collateral effect on nearby objects. "The unidentified vessel has ceased probe deployment," the tactical officer reported, a note of awe in her voice. It's changing course, accelerating away from Earth orbit." Dr. Patel's hands moved rapidly across her interface. "General, we're detecting an energy buildup consistent with fold space drive activation. They're preparing to jump." Okafor allowed himself a small smile. The demonstration had achieved its purpose. Track them as long as possible. I want to know where they're going. Before anyone could respond, a priority communication alert flashed on his private channel. The message origin: Diraxian High Command, marked with their highest security designation. The message contained only 5 words, but they sent a chill through Okafor's battle-hardened composure. "The Harbingers have seen you." The Earth Security Council chamber fell into stunned silence as Kralfax's hologram shifted to display astronomical data spanning millions of years. The 12 most powerful humans on the planet, representatives from each continental alliance, stared at projections showing a pattern so vast in scale and time that it defied immediate comprehension. Every 50,000 years, the Diraxian Elder continued, his translator matrix converting complex harmonic vibrations into measured words. The pattern never changes. Advanced civilizations reach a certain technological threshold. They expand beyond their home systems. They establish themselves as interstellar powers. And then, they'd vanish. Dr. Eliza Reyes studied the data with the practiced eye of a scientist. This could be explained by natural extinction events. Supernova, gamma-ray bursts, pandemic diseases, occurring simultaneously across thousands of independent star systems. Kralfax's outer membrane rippled, their equivalent of a sardonic smile. The statistical impossibility should be obvious to a mind of your caliber, Dr. Reyes. President Rivera leaned forward. You're suggesting intelligent intervention, a deliberate extinction cycle. Not suggesting. Stating. Kralfax projected a new series of images. Ancient structures floating in deep space, enormous mechanical constructs of impossible complexity. My species survived 3 cleansings by hiding in dimensional pocket spaces of our own creation. Each time, we emerged to find a galaxy swept clean of advanced organic life. Each time, we documented what we found. The Security Council members exchanged uneasy glances. Humanity had encountered many incredible things since joining the galactic community, but this challenged fundamental assumptions about cosmic history. If this is true, General Okafor said carefully, why haven't the Galactic Council's historians corroborated your evidence? Why isn't this common knowledge? Kralfax's compound eyes shifted to a deeper blue, an indication of profound sadness in Duraxian emotional displays. We have presented this evidence for millennia. Most species choose to reject it. They find it psychologically untenable. They prefer comforting falsehoods to threatening truths. But why tell us? Maya Wong asked, her neural implant pulsing as she processed the astronomical data. Why not the older, more established species? All 8 of Kralfax's eyes focused directly on the human delegation. Because you built planet killers as a precaution. Because when faced with the Port Douglas tragedy, your species did not seek revenge or retreat into isolation. You developed defensive technologies of unprecedented precision. Ambassador Chen's diplomatic mask slipped momentarily, revealing genuine surprise. You approve of our weapons platforms. Emphatically. The Duraxian's exoskeleton shifted, revealing ancient ceremonial metals embedded within. Most species, when developing such technologies, create instruments of indiscriminate destruction. Your platforms demonstrate a philosophical approach unique in our experience, the capacity to unmake at the molecular level, coupled with ethical constraints that preserve life whenever possible. Dr. Reyes exchanged a glance with Maya. The defense platforms had been designed with precisely that principle in mind, maximum precision with minimum collateral damage. The ability to target specific molecular structures while leaving surrounding matter untouched. The approaching extinction force, President Rivera said, returning to the immediate concern, how much time do we have? Kralfax projected a galactic map showing anomalous energy signatures at the outer rim. The harbingers you encountered today were merely scouts. They will report your defensive capabilities to the main harvester fleet. Based on previous cycles, we estimate between 6 and 8 standard months before they reach the core systems. General Okafor's expression darkened. Our 12 platforms can protect Earth, perhaps our immediate colonies, but not the entire galaxy. Which is why, Kralfax said, his voice taking on a formal cadence, the Duraxian continuity officially requests humanity's assistance in adapting your defensive technology for widespread deployment. We believe the precision targeting systems developed by Dr. Rice's team, combined with certain ancient technologies we have preserved from previous cycles, might offer the first real chance of resistance in 50,000 years. The implications settled over the human delegation like a physical weight. Humanity, barely a century into its interstellar existence, was being asked to lead the galaxy's defense against an extinction-level threat that had successfully wiped out countless civilizations before them. Dr. Eliza Reyes never imagined she would stand in a laboratory surrounded by Arctovian engineers, much less collaborate with them. The combined research facility on Luna had been hastily constructed in the 3 weeks since the Duraxian revelation, a testament to humanity's ability to adapt quickly when faced with existential threats. Your quantum field manipulators are impressively stable. The Arctovian chief engineer clicked through their translator. The insectoid alien manipulated the holographic schematics with specialized appendages evolved specifically for precise work. But your power distribution matrices are inefficient by approximately 23%. Eliza nodded, suppressing the instinctive unease she felt around the species responsible for the Port Douglas massacre. We prioritized safety redundancies over efficiency. Each system has triple failsafes. The Arctovian's compound eyes shifted, processing this information. Logical from your perspective. Our approach emphasized maximizing destructive potential, which is why our technologies complement each other, Eliza replied. Your power generation systems coupled with our precision targeting could create a defense grid capable of protecting multiple systems simultaneously. Around them, the laboratory bustled with activity. Human scientists worked alongside representatives from the 26 species that had joined the hastily formed Survival Coalition. Most of the older galactic powers still refused to participate, dismissing the Duraxian warnings as manipulative fear-mongering. Dr. Maya Wong entered the laboratory, her neural implant glowing faintly beneath her skin. Eliza, we've received the technical data from the Duraxians. Their dimensional pocket technology is extraordinary. Eliza examined the information flooding her workstation. The principles involved challenged fundamental assumptions about spacetime. This could revolutionize our approach. Instead of trying to destroy the harvesters, we could potentially phase targeted areas into pocket dimensions until the threat passes. The Arctovian engineer clicked rapidly, their equivalent of excited agreement. Less energy expenditure, higher protection radius. Your species continues to surprise with pragmatic solutions. Maya's expression remained serious. There's a complication. Ambassador Chen reports widespread protests across coalition worlds. The rapid deployment of modified planet killer technology has sparked fear. Most civilians don't understand the threat we're facing. Eliza sighed. The coalition had made the difficult decision to classify information about the approaching harvesters to prevent mass panic, but this meant the public saw only the proliferation of weaponry without understanding its purpose. How is Chen handling it? As diplomatically as ever, Maya began, but her response was interrupted as her neural implant suddenly flashed red. An emergency alert at the highest priority. The laboratory's communication system activated automatically. Ambassador Chen's face appeared on the main display, her normally composed expression replaced by barely contained shock. We've lost contact with Proxima Centauri colony, she announced without preamble. All 4 million inhabitants. The laboratory fell silent. Proxima Centauri was humanity's first interstellar colony, established decades earlier as a symbol of mankind's expansion to the stars. The automated defense buoys transmitted data before going offline. Chen continued. Preliminary analysis confirms Duraxian predictions. The harvester ships emerged from fold space without warning. They deployed atmospheric processors designed to convert oxygen environments to something more suited to their biology. The first long-range scans appeared on the display. Where a thriving human colony once existed, only a barren, stripped world remained. The oceans had been drained, the atmosphere transformed, all organic matter systematically harvested. The Arctovian chief engineer's mandibles clicked rapidly in their species' expression of alarm. The timetable was incorrect. They are already here. Eliza's scientific mind processed the implications quickly. No, this was a vanguard, a small advance force testing our defenses. The main fleet is still approaching. Maya's hand touched her shoulder, the human gesture of support contrasting with the clinical horror displayed on the screens. Eliza, what we're building here, will it be enough? For the first time since the project began, Dr. Eliza Rice allowed uncertainty to show on her face. It has to be. We need to accelerate deployment immediately. The harvester ships emerged from fold space without warning, massive biomechanical constructs that defied conventional physics. Earth's early warning system detected the spacetime distortions mere seconds before 6 enormous vessels materialized in high orbit. Their hulls pulsed with sickly bioluminescence, sensory appendages extending to scan the planet below. In the Geneva Command Center, President Rivera stood calmly as tactical displays tracked the invaders. "Defense Protocol Omega," she ordered. "All platforms activate." Around Earth, 12 defense platforms synchronized their targeting systems. Dr. Elisa Reyes, monitoring from Luna Base, verified the quantum field integrity. Targeting solutions confirmed, molecular signatures identified and locked. The harvesters deployed atmospheric processors, massive cylindrical devices designed to convert Earth's oxygen-rich environment into something more suitable for their biology. The devices began their descent through the upper atmosphere, trailing catalytic chemicals that started immediate reactions with the air. "Platforms firing," General Okafor announced. Unlike the series demonstration, this time there was visual confirmation of the weapon's activation. 12 precisely calibrated quantum fields intersected with the harvester ships, establishing molecular connections at the subatomic level. The effect was immediate and devastating. The harvesters' biomechanical structures began to disintegrate, their constituent molecules separating and reforming into inert noble gases. The process took exactly 43 seconds. When it finished, nothing remained of the massive invaders except harmless clouds of argon and neon dispersing in Earth's upper atmosphere. Similar scenes played out across 20 coalition worlds where modified defense systems had been installed. The harvester ships, expecting minimal resistance based on previous extinction cycles, found themselves facing precisely targeted molecular disintegration fields that bypassed their advanced shields entirely. But on the Arctovian homeworld, catastrophe struck. Their modified version of the defense system, emphasizing power over precision, malfunctioned catastrophically during activation. The quantum field destabilized, threatening to expand beyond control parameters. Ambassador Chen received the emergency transmission in real time. Without hesitation, she made the decision that would define humanity's place in galactic history. Divert defense platforms 3, 5, 7, and 9 to create a containment field around the Arctovian system. General Okafor's voice came through the comm, stunned. "Ambassador, that leaves Earth with reduced protection if a second wave arrives." "The Arctovians are 8 billion sentient beings," Chen replied firmly. "We know what it's like to lose a world. We won't allow it to happen to them, especially not due to technology we helped create." The 4 platforms reoriented, establishing a protective envelope around the Arctovian homeworld. Their precision targeting systems recalibrated the runaway quantum field, stabilizing it before catastrophic expansion could occur. Billions of Arctovian lives were saved by the swift intervention of the same species whose town they had accidentally destroyed decades earlier. As the first wave of harvesters was repelled, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Species that had dismissed the Diraxian warnings now faced irrefutable evidence of the extinction threat. The resolution passed unanimously. All resources would be diverted to implementing the human protocol throughout inhabited space. In Geneva, Dr. Rice studied the incoming data alongside Maya Wang. The atmospheric processors had been completely neutralized, their molecular structures precisely targeted without damaging Earth's atmosphere. "It worked perfectly," Maya said, relief evident in her voice. "Your targeting systems performed exactly as designed." Eliza nodded, but her expression remained grave as she examined the long-range sensor data. "This was just the first wave, Maya. Look." The deep space monitors showed multiple distortion signatures forming at the edge of the solar system. Fold space ruptures orders of magnitude larger than the first attack. 6 more harvester fleets detected, the monitoring system announced dispassionately. Estimated arrival, 48 hours. Maya's hand found Elisa's, squeezing tightly. "Will the defense platforms recharge in time?" "They'll have to," Eliza replied. "We've proven the concept works. Now we just need to scale it to meet what's coming." Throughout the command center, humans worked alongside aliens of diverse species, united by a common purpose: survival. The Precaution that had once scandalized the galaxy had become its only hope for salvation.